Stephen Cox, you have more to add?
Well, it's an unfortunate set of circumstances, but in this situation, because Jordan exerted influence, he's the one who receives the penalty. And from what I gather, Jordan still had the chance to make three, and that's obviously why there obviously is a little bit.
To start off, I've got someone who's the first to come to people's minds when they hear golfing controversies. It's none other than Tiger Woods. Everyone's aware of what specifically makes him controversial. His winning tactics were what concealed his personality from so many others. While there's no denying his playing prowess, arrogance eventually entered both his on and off the course life. The secretive off-course behavior with numerous women from varied backgrounds made headlines. Despite being kicked out by his wife, he continued in his ways. He's recently sustained wounds, mostly to his back, and he's engaged in his fair share of arguments with players and the media, like any prominent sports figure. A comment from a magazine described the most conceited athlete ever, and I agree. Next, we've got someone whose cockiness takes the cake, the one and only Patrick Reed. Reed is at the top of the list of golfers who are despised for their cockiness. After winning a tournament early in his career at the 2014 WGC Cadillac Championship, he made his first error. Tiger was at the height of his game at the time, but Reed continued to assert his status as one of the top 5 players on the tour. He continued by saying that he and Tiger would compete for the victory in any upcoming competitions. Then he got into trouble with the crowd during the Ryder Cup, which served as another nail in the coffin. He's recently engaged in a few rule violations, has taken advantage of the system, and bent the rules to serve his interest. And are we forgetting all the drama with LIV Golf? Now, while our previous picks were simply controversial golfers, this next guy went on to become a very controversial president, too. I'm talking about Donald Trump. When it comes to course ownership, Donald Trump is undoubtedly one of the names that players are most familiar with. Let's be real, Trump has deep pockets, yet it never looks as though his ventures have succeeded as he believes they have. Despite rating his courses as the best, Trump does not own any of the top 10 courses. Trump is a terrific person to have investing money in golf, but let's hope Doral receives better assessments from those who aren't being paid by the Donald. His controversies extend far beyond the course, but I'd have to dedicate an entire separate video to that. Moving on to another player known for his arrogance, I've got Rory Sabbatini. Even though Rory goes above and beyond to support military veterans, some of his on- and off-course acts have damaged his reputation. Ben Crane was still setting up his putt on the green when he made the infamous move to the following hole. Crane may be the slowest player on the circuit, so it helped mitigate the fact that they were under pressure. He has the distinction of being voted the tour's least favored playing partner, according to a poll, thanks to his brash, arrogant attitude. Oh, and his recent divorce from his wife and her revelations haven't helped dispel the matter. Now, if self-obsession had a face, it'd look like Ian Poulter. This guy offended the golfing public by being so self-absorbed. Ugh! He always wears fancy attire, and the fans hate the way he struts around the course like he's at New York Fashion Week. Honestly, I'm reminded of a peacock with its feathers spread out, his way of letting us all know when things are going well on the course. But when things on the course don't go his way, he gets cranky and bitter. Many golfers would risk their life on him if they needed to make a 5-foot putt under pressure. And even if he demonstrated this in the Ryder Cup, there were still many haters in the crowd. Goes to show how attitude matters. Speaking of attitude, this next player has a lot of it. I'm referring to Pat Perez. You'd think he ran the show for a man with limited success. He has always been regarded as a man who's quite inconsiderate of others and demands more of himself than he's ever demonstrated he's capable of. That would include a meltdown following a runner-up result at the Reno Tahoe Open, which Perez probably didn't anticipate being captured on camera. And guess what? Fans will attest to his lack of concern for them as well. At Hazeltine, he nearly hit a spectator on the head with the ball as it sailed into the gallery area. When he returned, his caddy had to apologize on his behalf because Perez wouldn't even look at the crowd unless he wanted to tell them to move. The audacity!
You cannot hide a pin. You cannot hide a pin.
The next personality gives Tiger Woods a run for his money. It's the unparalleled John Daly. If you ask me, Tiger and John are tied for being the most controversial golfers in history. Daly is renowned for his accomplishments on the golf field, but sadly, his victory in the British Open is frequently overshadowed by the rest of his shenanigans, like striking a ball off a beer can, playing a game of golf shirtless, entering the Hooters tent during a rain delay, or engaging in petty fights. While John Daly's distance and swing will be legendary, he'll never fully move past his history.
He almost decelerates into it, sends it straight up in the air. Nicely done.
Wet.
So wet out here.
Wet. Yep.
He didn't love it, but it worked out fantastic.
Now, if you ask any caddy, they fear one guy. It's none other than Vijay Singh. A few years ago, he went on an incredible run of form, winning numerous events over 2 straight seasons. But now, he's the golfer no one wants to caddy for within the caddy cage. He's most likely hit more golf balls on the range than any other modern-day professional golfer. But get this, Vijay often doesn't even say hello to his dependable caddy in the morning before playing. His icy temperament and scowl on the course doesn't increase his fan base one bit. Also, he's not popular with the media because of his distaste for the press and refusal to conduct interviews. It's unfortunate, but the reality of the golfing world is that poor form and the diminished capacity to achieve the once-had levels leave you feeling bitter and frustrated. Now, don't think women in golf aren't controversial until you've met her. I'm talking about Michelle Wie. Okay, she isn't controversial because of something she's done, but hear me out. You know Michelle Wie is a skilled professional, but she's 22. She has played golf professionally for more than 6 years. Run the numbers. When she began her career, she was under the age of 16. In terms of talent, the women's game is somewhat lenient, but what should your child sacrifice in order to follow their dreams? I definitely feel that the professional golfer's age restriction has to be reviewed. Before becoming a pro in golf, one should complete high school, at the very least. Next on my list is someone who's big-mouthed for their own good. That is Bubba Watson. Well known for his pink-shafted driver and big tee shots, Bubba also has a history of speaking inappropriately. Watson made the decision to stick it to the European Tour and blast them for his terrible play while playing on an invitation over in Europe. He claimed that the tournament's bad administration contributed to his subpar performance.